Lately, I've been thinking about art. Roughly in the last 6 years, I've been thinking about it much harder than the previous years before that. And most of what I've been thinking about it for the past 6 years all relates to improvement and value. Oh my god. I never really thought this hard about art before uni and in high school when I was drawing my OCs for the hell of it, simply because I enjoyed it. But I also wasn't truly thinking about getting better back then. The idea that we need to get better at art feels almost unquestionable today. I find artists, especially online digital artists, are often encouraged to consistently improve their technical skills, refine their style, and measure their progress against others. However, this expectation is not inherent to art itself. I think it reflects a modern, productivity driven mindset that prioritizes growth and achievement and measurable success. I know we can all feel it with the way our TikTok feeds and YouTube feeds push productivity or results for better achievement type content at us. I mean, I know I feel it. I feel it all the time. Oh my god. While historically and philosophically, art has been valued not for improvement, but for its ability to provide enjoyment, emotional experience, and personal expression. And at the end of the day, isn't that what it's should be about anyway? Especially for the individual, the artist. Because at the end of the day, should it not be about our fulfillment with our life is more important than the feeling of dread of being better? I think one of the clearest expressions of this idea is the concept of art for art's sake. This idea suggests that art does not need to serve a purpose beyond itself. It does not need to be useful, profitable, or even good by technical standards. Instead, its value lies in the experience of creating and engaging with it. An example, for me, that is creating very silly D&D characters or OCs simply for my own enjoyment of creating them, because I think it's really fun and it's cool, and I enjoy it. However, in contemporary society, much of the motivation behind art making is driven by a desire to improve. There is a consistent pressure to be better, to excel, and to demonstrate progress. Art becomes less about the act of creation and more about the outcome. And I see it all over my social media platform once again. Especially, I think, in the past few months, the amount of posts I've seen of people complaining about a lack of improvement in their art, or worse, harassing other artists, like how they are so good, is disheartening in its own way. Especially because people are being huge dicks to these artists. Not everyone wants to explain their step-by-step process. I'm a huge believer in you need to fail to succeed to figure out your own. But moving on. Just don't be a dick to another artist, man. This shift reflects, I feel a broader mindset in society. Especially in a market-driven society, value is often assigned based on productivity, skill, and potential. People are judged not only by what they do, but by what they are capable of achieving. This way of thinking has extended into creative practices, turning art into something that must prove its worth. The emphasis on improvement mirrors systems such as academic grading or career achievement, where success is measured through visible process. I mean, art's pretty visible improvement, but anyway. As a result, artists may begin to see their work not as a form of expression, but as a test of their ability. This is seen a lot when artists are posting their art process and being like, hey, look at this art I made for $70. And it's got multiple characters in it, they're full bodies, and it's got a full background, and people in the comments are hounding on it, saying things like, oh yeah, I think it's worth $70, but I wouldn't pay for it. Or the whole concept of, I don't think this is worth $70. It's not worth this much money based on your skills. You get the point. You've you've probably stumbled across these TikToks, and sometimes the comments are just, oh my god. Anyway, let's move away from that. In contrast, approaching art as a practice rather than an accomplishment offers an alternative perspective. When art is treated as a discipline, something done regularly for its own sake, I think a lot of people see it becomes less about reaching a goal and more about the experience itself. This approach acts as a resistance in a society where I definitely feel like we're consistently having demands put on us to have like measurable outcomes, and a lot of the time, not even just measurable, but people want things done like instantly, like super fast. It's ridiculous. And this also turns into, instead of asking whether a piece is good or whether it shows improvement, the focus shifts to whether the process was meaningful or enjoyable for you. The origins of this perspective can be traced back to European Romantic movements, particularly in Germany and England. During this time, artists and intellectuals began to argue that art should be appreciated for its intrinsic qualities, rather for any external purpose. Before this shift, art was only expected to communicate political, religious, or moral ideas, and was judged based on how effectively it fulfilled these roles. The Romantic movement challenged this expectation, proposing that art could exist independently of function or utility. This marks a significant change in how art was understood, placing value on emotional expression and individual experience. Despite this historical perspective, modern attitudes towards art have increasingly returned to a focus on outcomes. We can see this in social media, online tutorials, and a consistent exposure to highly skilled work reinforce the idea that improvement is the primary goal. Artists may feel pressured to justify their practice through visual process, leading to frustration or burnout when their work does not meet expectations. In this environment, enjoyment can become secondary or even lost entirely. However, when the focus shifts back to enjoyment, the relationship with art changes. Creating becomes less intimidating, as there is no longer a need to meet specific standards. Mistakes are no longer failures, but part of the process. This mindset allows for experimentation, play, and genuine engagement. Ironically, improvement often occurs more naturally in this environment, as artists are more likely to continue practicing when they feel they enjoy what they're doing. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is the goal of art should not be consistent improvement, but sustainable enjoyment. While developing skills is not an inherently negative thing, it should not overshadow the reasons people create in the first place. Art has long been a space for expression, emotion, and personal exploration. By shifting the focus away from performance and towards experience, art can return to what it's always been at its core. Something done not to achieve, but to feel. And just to have fun with, if that's like the feeling, you know? I really am only rambling on about this, as it has been my own set for the past few years. I have been stuck in an improvement loop, is probably the best way to say it. Instead of like drawing art because it's freaking fun, the past 6 years, I simply want to put my thoughts and anxieties like into words, and hope in the process of doing that, you, whoever is watching this, might relate, or better yet, could offer some advice for others who think like me. But yeah. Hello to YouTube after being gone for 6 years. I hope you enjoyed the sketchbook flip through. I can't speak. I hope you enjoy the sketchbook flip through. That's probably happening in the background depending on what I've chosen to have as the background for this, because I'm just rambling to my script that's sitting in front of me. It is really hard talking into a mic. I don't know why it's so hard. But anyway, thank you for watching if you did. Like I said, this is just me rambling about stuff that I've been thinking about, so thanks for watching. Bye.